Queen Elizabeth II's coffin arrived at the St. Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh, Scotland today. The late Queen's four children accompanied the hearse on a procession through the city along the Royal Mile. The casket will remain at the cathedral until tomorrow. After the public is given a chance to pay their respects to the Queen's coffin, it will be flown to London on Tuesday. This is where it will lie in state at the Houses of Parliament until next Monday's funeral. Meanwhile, King Charles III made his first visit to Britain's Parliament as monarch earlier today. Like his predecessors, the king reigns but does not rule, and he will largely stay out of the political limelight. Well, joining us now to tell us more about the legacy of our late queen and what to expect from our new king is Dr. Michael Jackson, president and a fellow of the Institute for the Study of the Crown in Canada. Dr. Jackson, welcome back to Forum Daily.
Thank you.
Now, in addition to following the crown for the past 70 years, you were also appointed by the Queen as a commander of the Royal Victorian Order in 2005. So let's start with your own reaction to the passing of the monarch.
Well, my own reaction was one of great shock because the Queen had seemed fine on Tuesday of last week when she met the new British Prime Minister. And then 2 days later, we woke up to hear that she was in dire health, and the family was assembling around her bedside. And then a little bit later came the news that she had died. So it was a great shock, and I'm still recovering from it.
Now, 70 years as the Queen of Canada, what stands out to you as the most significant of her accomplishments and legacy in the royal family?
Well, she has so many accomplishments and so much of a legacy for Canada and the Commonwealth, but I think her sense of duty throughout. She's very hardworking, diligent, devoted to her role as constitutional monarch and head of state for Canada, the United Kingdom, and a number of other realms and territories around the world. And she never said a foot wrong. She always was the right thing to do, the right thing to say at the right time. She was very devoted to her work and remained above the political fray in a very neutral way. And I think her constancy, her neutrality, her enthusiasm for her job made a great deal of difference to the world and to the Commonwealth.
All right, Dr. Jackson. Well, we mentioned that we have a new king now. So how do you see the monarchy shifting or changing under the reign of King Charles?
Well, the monarchy is always changing and evolving. You know, when the Queen started as a young woman of 26, 70 years ago, the world was a different place, Britain was a different place, and Canada was a very different place. And she has adapted and contributed to the adaptation of the crown to the Canadian circumstances. So Canada is now not only a bilingual country, but a multicultural, multiracial country. The Indigenous peoples are playing a much more prominent role in our country, and the Queen and the Crown are very much part of that relationship with the Indigenous peoples. So that's all goes to show that the monarchy adapts and fluctuates and changes according to the way the country changes, and it helps the country change. I think King Charles will carry on that tradition. He has got his own interests, of course. He's going to be very different from the Queen. For instance, he was an environmentalist long before it was fashionable. He warned of the dangers to our environment with global warming and pollution around the world. He drew our attention to that at a very early stage in the game. And he's also been very interested in promoting youth, underprivileged youth in our cities, in promoting multicultural and multi-faith dialogue. So he has all these things to his credit, and I think he will influence our country very much to the positive.
All right, Dr. Jackson, about a minute left here, so let's talk a little bit about logistics. What kind of changes can we expect both in the UK and in Canada, especially in terms of currency?
Well, that means that our coins will need to change. King Charles III's effigy will appear on the coins at some point when they get around to it at the Royal Canadian Mint. We don't know about paper money, whether the image of the new king will appear on the $20 bill or not. That's up to the Royal Canadian Mint to decide and to Canada Post to decide. But I imagine they'll phase these in practical terms. You can't do it overnight.
All right, Dr. Jackson, seems like we've got about 30 seconds left here, but what about the UK? What kind of changes can we see in the UK?
Well, in the UK, one change, of course, has already happened. It's King Charles III, but Prince William is now Prince of Wales. And that's a major change for the heir to the throne to accept that title of Prince of Wales right away.
All right, Dr. Jackson, always great having you on Forum Daily. Thank you again for your time today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, when we return, we're going to take a look at headlines and major news stories from around the country, as Canada will likely play a big role in the Queen's funeral, according to the High Commissioner to the UK. And Nunavut and Ontario begin the Omicron COVID-19 booster rollout. We'll have these stories and more coming up after the break.